This is iRacing.
With both class championships and runners-up already declared in both GTP and GTO, the fight is on for the last step of the championship rostrum at one of the most unpredictable tracks on the calendar, the Le Mans historic layout. Who will be able to stay in the tow for the GTPs, and who will negotiate the path to perfection in the GTOs? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the final round of the iRacing IMSA Vintage series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Our director is Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Featuring the longest straight in racing, the Le Mans historic layout has long been a mainstay of the IMSA Vintage series. To find out why, let's take you down to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Le Mans. When you talk about legendary circuits, this is a place that stands among the most famous in the world. Part permanent road course, part temporary street circuit, it traipses through the countryside just south of the city where it gets its namesake. Its size matches its reputation as well, clocking it at 8.5 miles, which equates to roughly 13.5 kilometers. However, when you take into account that it's split by only 33 turns, the frighteningly fast nature of this circuit becomes clear. Most of the corners have been added over the century of history it's experienced, but many have become renowned and respected. The two turns at the opposite ends of the massively long Mulsanne Straight play equally important roles. Tertre Rouge requires a great exit in order to not lose massive amounts of time, while Mulsanne Corner takes bravery and precision in order to brake as late as possible and keep opponents from passing you on the way in. There's also hair-raising moments like the tricky entry to Indianapolis, or the close walls along the bridge section in the Porsche curves. To win here, drivers will need a very low downforce setup, a good sense of strategy, and heaps of bravery. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is the crown jewel of endurance racing, which many drivers dream of someday winning and many fans flock to witness in person. Once you've driven the track here on iRacing, it's easy to see why.
Well, this track has many, many historic moments around it, Craig, but how are the IMSA Vintage cars going to handle it today?
Well, back in the day, there was no chicanes down the Mulsanne. So, in classic fashion, the IMSA Vintage cars will take on the challenge. But to be with the pack for the straight, you need to master the rest of the track. So for the GTPs, the Le Mans variant of the Nissan, yes, that's true, they tackled this track. And the speeds and the flowing corners like Tertre Rouge and Porsche curves will be a treat for these cars. But it's those slower corners that come to the Nissan. They will struggle due to the high curbing and the struggle to get back on the power. For the GTOs, however, it's a case of wanting to get into the corners. So the fast speeds going into corners like Mulsanne, Indy, and the Ford chicane will challenge the drivers because of the blip and shifting down. That is going to be a big issue. But Adam, we can talk about the multi-class around here. We know what it's going to be like. We know, though, it's all going to come down to that Mulsanne Straight. The Unidades, as it is in French. The GTPs will be losing all their speed once they pull out the slipstream, so timing those overtakes will be vital. And for the GTOs, Adam, I think you know what it is. All aboard the Audi train.
Absolutely, and that train's going to be very long. As mentioned, this is the final round of the IMSA Vintage Series for Season 2. It's going to be 11 laps around this track. But we're going to go take a look at the standings first. Audrey's Valenteus has the championship sewn up. It's 25 points for a win. And that's even if Nick Bacanos were to disqualify. So Nick Bacanos is out of reach. Jacob Reed is also out of reach of Nick Bacanos. So Nick seals up second position. But between Jacob, Brendan, and Christoph, it's going to be very tight. Jacob needs to hold on to the position by 4 points over Brendan Lim because he'll win the tiebreaker. So Brendan needs 5 points or higher to pass up Jacob today. That's going to be hard to do. Christoph Lesniak needs 11 points to get past Brendan for P4. That's going to be a hard ask as well. Back further is Matthew Cockram, who's fairly well out of touch of Gabri Martinez, but between Gabri and Fabian, it's only 1 point, so Fabian looking to try and pipe himself up to 7th today. Shady Ahmad back there with 124 points is in the battle with Dustin Roeder. We'll see if Dustin showed up today, and if so, that could make a change for 9th position. But what about the GTOs, Craig?
Well, GTO's kind of a similar situation because Johan van Hicks has the championship sealed. He is the champion. Noah Lundberg will have to settle for P2. He is also sealed for P2, which means the battle between Andreas Schuster, Mickey Friesen, Johanny Cameron, even Josh Brain and Ika Kotasalo, those two have got an outside chance. But the key factor here, 9 points, is how many points Mickey needs to do to outscore Andreas to get that P3. Of course, a little bit of a kink in that with a certain GTP champion in the standings today. If you look down the rest of the field, a lot of bragging rights. Doug Cloud, Emilio Dicciari, Martin Krajcik at the bottom. Dicciari, key point here. Not only is he in the top 10 here, he's also leading the GTUs. That's the junior category by 6 points. He has to just beat Jamie Hamill-Smith today to seal up a GTU championship.
As I was mentioning before, it is the final round here for the IMSA Vintage Series. It's 11 laps for these drivers. They can set up the car however they like or dislike with their open setups. They have no spare vehicle, so any damage they're going to have to carry to the end. Drive through at 17 incidents, a disqualification at 25. You can actually rack up a decent amount of incidents around here at Le Mans Historic if you're not careful. And the pack racing is going to make this very interesting. The GTOs won't get those full 11 laps, Craig, so they're going to have to figure out how many laps they get on the day. Based upon the races over the course of the week, what has the average been? Do you know?
Pass. I gotta be honest, it's not what I've been keeping my eyes on this week due to other factors, but I do know that the key thing around here will be just staying clean. I did hear some surprising results earlier in the week, though. Give it up for Cam Porter. We haven't seen a lot on a Saturday recently, but Cam Porter getting a podium in the GTOs over in the week, which is basically at the end of the day, that is the in it to win it category here. Is a very foggy stadium. Stood outside that stadium, meeting a certain Martin Heindel for a meeting last year around here, just in those little car parks there, get around. And also I just stood there. So a lot of places remind me of home.
Looking at Gorka Coutinho doing their first qualifying lap, it's going to be tight for all these drivers. Most of them will only get, in fact, they'll all pretty much only get one lap in because there's only 8 minutes of qualifying around here for these drivers. So it's pretty much a single lap for them to get around. For example, the GTP's Jacob Reed finished his first lap with a 3:12.30, so he can go the rest of the distance, but all the drivers crossing the line now and later in the GTPs will only get that first lap in.
And it means it's going to be very crucial for the GTOs. And as you can just see, Mickey Friesen put one hell of a lap down. A 44.878. Really good there for Mickey as he takes on pole position for the GTOs, but the GTPs, they get one more time by, and this is Jacob Reed. And just put your feet back, relax. You're going down the Urideres into the Mulsanne corner, hard onto the brakes. As you can see, it's a roundabout normally, as I've also been on this track, and it's just fantastic. Down now into the Gulf Straight, and this is where it starts to really get tricky to go into the forest. You want to make sure you don't cut too much of this inside. You'll bottom out the car, cause a little bit of damage, and now you go for the second kink, and then it's all about your braking for the off camber, then into camber, Indianapolis.
Absolutely. Andreas Schuster, 1.5 seconds, as we said, clear of Mickey Friesen, and that's about a quarter second back to Riley Thompson, my old teammate at Total Downforce Racing. Nice to see him joining us for the final round of this season. Jacob Reed diving through Indianapolis, taking the right-hand corner, and then it's a squirt onto the throttle. A nice line out of there. Very hooked up today as he exits. It's going to be a quick left, another left, and then we're into the Porsche curves once again. This is where most of the technicality for the GTPs comes into play. It all depends on how quickly you can carry speed through this section.
Just look at it. You go up the hill. There is a bit of an incline here, and then you're still going up the hill, and then you start to go down a little bit. The speed starts to come with you, as you then have to hit the hard braking there into the karting S's, because the karting track's right there. Try not to get an off track, and I don't think he got the off track. No, if he got an off track, he would have had a slowdown there. Le Mans has a lot of slowdowns over than off tracks here, so you won't be seeing many drivers getting disqualifications today. Really got this planted as he comes through the final part of the fourth chicane. Tries not to slide. A little bit of a slide there. The tail kicked out, but it's an 11.526. What a lap from Jacob Reed. I'm going to have to check the records.
I think we just watched one of the most beautiful qualifying laps I have seen at Le Mans Historic. Jacob Reed, the whole entire booth gasped as he took that left-hand corner out of the Porsche curves. That was an amazing qualifying lap and an amazing final sector to gain a full second over his previous qualifying time. And he's got 0.8 of a second over Krzysztof Lesniak, second qualifier in GTPs. If you're wondering why we're not seeing Andreas Valendeus up there, he's currently in the GTOs and on his second lap, so he did not actually set a qualifying time on that first lap, so he'll be starting from the back of the pack, which is something we're fairly used to at this point, Craig.
Very, very used to, I've got to be brutally honest with what we're seeing out there today. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm just going to try and find my information to find the fastest lap. That, actually from Jacob Reed, is the fastest qualifying time this week in a GTP by 7/10. Lesniak had the fastest time outside before this, which he actually couldn't even beat today. He was short of his fastest time by about 0.03 of a second. That just goes to show the pace Jacob had today.
And so Jacob will be our pole sitter out there in the GTPs with Krzysztof Lesniak lining up next to him. Brendan Lim is in a really good position to defend that third position in the championship by starting off third today, with Henrik Schreibig joining us once again on row 2 behind Lesniak. Row 3 is going to start off with Jack Wells and Nick McConos and Fabian Jungbluth and Philip Lake on row 4. Philip back in the GTP today. Sonny Mied is going to join us in 9th position with Victor De Vried in 10th spot. In 11th position is going to be Kyle Graham with Martin Yalis next to him on row 6. Row 7 goes to Brian Stockmar with Eric Hoare in row 7. We got Vitez Dejado in row 8 with Nelson Granzo, and then row 9 is Matthew Gulas, and then Carlos Lopez is our first driver to not set a qualifying time. Lance Simon lines up 19th with Andre Felipe Diaz in 20th position. And then we've got Colby Newland in 21st, Ryan Weiss 22nd, and the grid is rounded out by Jeremiah Groe and Simone Pancree, your 24 GTP drivers today.
We get to the GTOs, and it's Andreas Schuster leading them off with Mickey Friesen in P2. Great for a championship battle there. Jo van Hicht will take third, and Riley Thompson makes a return. He will be in fourth. Emilio De Chari with a fantastic fifth there. Henry Morse in sixth, followed by Ian Haycox in seventh. Roman Bello will take eighth, then it's Fulton Pollock ninth. Shane Hawkins will be 10th. We get to the second page, and Paul Clavier will take 11th with Jamie Hamill-Smith in 12th. Martin Krajcik will be 13th with Henry Viamaki 14th. Marcos Bayon will be 15th with Hubert Peter Surio. Apologies for that. 16th. Gorka Corinthio will be 17th, the last of the time qualifiers, which means Andreas Valenteus will be the first non-qualifier in 18th. Doug Cloud 19th. Josh Brain will be 20th, and just the 6 drivers left after that. Yao Caraccio will be 21st. Peter Defo will be 22nd. John Fan 23rd. Davis Now 24th. Steve Hawkins will be 25th, and Eric Richter will be 26th for your 26 GTOs to go alongside your 24 GTPs.
That's 50 cars total if you do the basic math, which means that this is a crazy single split out there. The sun is starting to shine through and hopefully will burn off a little bit of this fog that we're seeing on track right now. It is currently 67 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, but 91 on the track. That's 33 Celsius on track for these drivers. As far as the wind, it's high, 15 miles per hour out of the north, and that will definitely affect the drivers. You see them going single file. That's because of the final sector around here. It's very tight. They will try to get double file again before they get the green flag, but it's Jacob Reed's prerogative as to when he goes green, and the Porsche pace car pulls off before the twisty bits.
Yeah, in the old days, the Porsche pace car would always go off right away into the normal pit lane. But of course, that meant the drivers had to take a really long time to get to the green flag. So it's now the second part of the Ford chicane. So they're able to just wait a little bit at the GTOs. They come on by around to the Ford. And actually, you can actually see that a little bit of an elevation change. Definitely see it there. It's something that you don't realize. I know sometimes we talk about the sim, fantastic scanning, but sometimes you don't realize the little intricacies of the height differences here. It's going to be very interesting. I do see Fabian Jungbluth is going to be a DNS. Might come back, but I do see he has had a little bit of technical issues.
Absolutely. We have a couple of other drivers having connection problems. John Fan and Jeremiah Growell also not in their cars yet, but that doesn't mean anything. As we have the tricolor, you can see them right there. It's a very cloudy day for VFR flying, and with the fog, it's going to be hard for them to see, but very easy to do so when you're in formation over the top of the Le Mans historic course here. The Porsche pace car has pulled off. Jacob Reed is going to lead them to the line, and doing so very slowly at this point. Is he going to give Christoph Lesniak time to get alongside? He does, but Christoph decides not to, and he's going to lose out to Brendan Lim, who takes the jump at the start of the race. Jacob waited as long as he could and took the green flag. Brendan Lim tried to make some speed, but look at that. Lesniak trimmed out. He's going to actually take the inside line and going to have the line into the first turn. Great move from Christoph to maintain second.
Well, GTOs are all keeping it single file here, and the respect everyone gives. It's fantastic to see Jacob Reed continuing on his challenge here. Fabian Jungwirth is in the pits. He may come out later. Up they go through to the Dunlop chicane. No changes here. You do see a slow GTP up ahead. Looks like Simon Bransky loses out there. Another driver losing out early on. Hubert Peter Thurio has lost a couple places.
Absolutely. Victor De Vries also having a problem coming onto the front straight. That's going to affect him for a good quarter of the lap because of how long the straight is. As far as the lead of the GTPs is concerned, looks like that's not going to change hands. Lesniak happy to conserve fuel. A lot of drivers will take reduced fuel here. You see Valentin already making hay up to 16th position on the first lap.
Valentin, he takes advantage of drivers making some mistakes. That number one car, you see, do I see three wide almost there? As you see, as the drivers start to just do different moves. There it is, the three wide. I don't think you can drive on the road there. The French police may be having a word there, but I tell you who's having a word. Well, these go three wide.
Four
to the lead. It's four wide, and the leaders are going 2 by 2. You shouldn't be too surprised at this, because this is what we expect on a draft track that is known as Le Mans Historic.
Lesniak was happy to sit behind, but Brendan Lim is not. He wants to get that lead. He wants to get it now, and he's going to do so. Late on the brakes into the Le Mans turn, and he's going to get that done. Lesniak is shuffled all the way back to 5th position and is dropping back even further. Brendan Lim is going to lead this race with Jacob Reed in 3rd position as he's trying to battle with Henrik Schweibig.
Yeah, and they'll come down to the Gulf Straight now. Nelson Grasno taking a bit too long a move there. Almost at a Nicky team there as they're going to be trying on that. Here are the GTOs. They're going 2 by 2 up ahead. Schuster lost out right away, but gets a little bit of a push and a bit of a side draft here. He might be able to just save one position. Friesen will take the lead. Now, it's interesting. No Noel Lundberg here. Every time I look at Le Mans, I think of Noel Lundberg. He's one of the best drivers on the track for the GTOs. He's not here today. Youngblood comes on by. He's going to have to do a lot of recovery, but this is going to be good practice because, you kind of want to, GTOs kind of want to stick to the same lines here. Quick 3 wide before that second king. They want to keep it 3 wide. They're going to keep it 2 wide. Now, Schuster will have the outside here for entry to Indianapolis, and yet Friesen just decides, no way, I'm staying
Absolutely.
back.
Friesen backs off of it, and Joran Van Hicks is going to fall into that 3rd position. Schuster able to lead right now. I'm taking a look at where Valenteus is. He's currently a 2nd behind Marcus Bayon for 14th position, but that's a 2nd pack. Shane Hawkins is in 9th position. He's a 2nd back of Romain Bello, as Emilio Detari has a bad exit there. He's going to fall back a little bit and have to drop out of line. So Audius Valenteus does not have a guaranteed win today, because if he loses the draft pack of these leaders at any point during his climb up the field, he's not going to have a chance to fight for the lead later on in the day.
No, he's not going to have a chance for the lead to fight later on. That's going to be very important. Tell you what's important right now is you look at that timing tower for the GTPs with what the GTOs going on by, with Valenteus going by. Notice the gap that Schwebbig is starting to lose. In fact, Schwebbig has lost the toe in P3 to the GTP leaders. This is a big incident, a moment right now. Not an incident, it's a big moment in the race as we keep on watching Valenteus. We'll get back to that very shortly, because this is important. How many more positions can Valenteus make? Well, he's going to make another one here before the 4th chicane. Very brave behind, almost gets rear-ended by Doug Cloud, and almost, Adam, my hand was in my head there for a moment. That almost looked like a wreck. Doug almost took out Valenteus.
A driver who looks like they probably took qualifying fuel, so unfortunately Paul Clavier going to have to come in and take some more fuel. He got some damage as well. Here's the lead of the GTPs, though. Jacob Reed looking to repass Brendan Lim and Henrik Schweibig. As you mentioned, I saw him within 1 second of our leaders by the time he got to the front straightaway, so I thought that he was going to hang with them. But unfortunately, they're too quick. They're too trimmed out, and Henrik is not so he loses the position to Christoph Lesniak behind as Brendan Lim and Jacob Reed trying to negotiate the lead. They're not doing this the quickest way, but they're doing it in the way that is the most fun for sure, and they still have broken that draft to the cars behind. That's 1.5 seconds. That's what that looks like on track between our lead pair and the behind quartet.
Yeah, what a view that is. Fantastic work there from Daniel on the camera till you start to see these four all start to groove in. Lesniak needs this lead of this pack, and he gets it. Welcome to Peloton Racing, iRacing style, because Lesniak knows that he can pull these guys ahead. Swimming may have had the speed with the overspeed there. However, he now needs to start thinking smart. He doesn't really want to be fighting this right now. This is where you want to look at lifting off the throttle a little bit. He has so much overspeed. This is really a champagne cork in the bottle moment because they kind of want to be holding this. This is very risky to go side by side into Indianapolis. Very risky. The camber works for the guy on the inside, and Swebig loses the position, and he's going to fight this, but that's down from Adam. There we go. You don't want to do this. It happen. Henning's gone too wide. You've got to be there at the end of the race. No point fighting. Lesniak's now 2 seconds behind the leaders.
Absolutely, yeah. Lesniak, it's broken the draft to the two leaders. Jacob Reed and Brendan Lim are more or less free to fight however they would like. Here is our lead battle in the GTOs. This is Schuster, Van Hicks, Friesen, Dechari, Thompson, Haycox, Morse, and Bello, all in an 8-car octet here, duking it out for the lead of the GTOs, and we're expecting to see this over the rest of the day, so long as the GTPs, when they come through, don't break up these draft packs.
I'm going to knock on wood when I say this. I don't want to curse the man, but I think Dechari is doing a tribute to Cam Porter. Cam was in this situation earlier in the week, really using it. Look at the speed, the overspeed from Riley Thompson. 1, 2, is it going to be 3? It isn't. You've got to understand this. It's important making moves like this so early. And if you make those moves early, he's now put himself in that contention of, hey, I want to do this right now. There's an incident there for Hubert there making a mistake. He misses the upshift as well. And all that work is gone. And to the back of the train you go. But we look at it. The leaders of the GTPs are spread. The GTOs, Adam, look at them. I see, put a blanket, put another blanket over them. There's like 10 all in a line here.
Yeah, it's the top 15, actually, Craig, that are all in a line at this point. Because of Riley Thompson's mischief, it's brought the pack that was behind them into the fray. So now it's all the way back to 15th, and guess who's in there? Valenteus, and guess who's been following Valenteus through every single move he's made? Doug Cloud.
Yeah, after Doug Cloud basically just decided to kiss the rear bumper of Valenteus there. I love you really, Doug. I know he's going to have a laugh at that, but it's just one of those moments that you've got to see. Valenteus gets a really good run out of the Corvette S's there, and now is he going to try and do a move here? Well, it's not Corvette, it's karting at the end of the day. Not going to go for it. He did it last time, but I think now he realizes, not right now. He's going to look for the opportunity to make a move down Unideras right away, but you do wonder sometimes, does he want to stay behind Shane Hawkins? Not really. Riley also going down as well. But look at this. When was the last time you saw, what was it, 15 cars altogether? 15, Adam.
Absolutely. That drone shot from Dougie Beard absolutely showing just how crazy it is to have that many cars in a line. We're looking at Jack Wells currently in 5th position. And look at that. That's Nick McConos going off at the right-hander there, and he's going to be able to hang on to that position just a little bit. But those kinds of moments, those are the defining moments of the day, because you make one mistake like that and you lose the draft of the cars ahead, that could be a problem. That's actually happening in the GTOs right now. Ian Haycox is 1 second behind Van Hicks and Schuster, and that gap is growing right now as they get to the straight.
And Schuster realizes this, he's bump drafting. Brendan Lim had a little bit of a mistake coming into the Mulsanne corner. He had to now work for this, so he's going to have to try and find a way to catch up with Jacob Reed. Very tough when Jacob Reed did a 13.6 last time, and Brendan Lim did a 3.15. I'm getting my numbers mixed up here. Just ignore what the first number is. It's always going to be a second. These two, bump drafting, just what they need to do right now, because
it's not enough.
It's not enough, though. Look at the toe. You know this better than anyone, Adam, here, because you're the man that drove this for so many years. That is a big tow you can get in these cars.
Absolutely. If you're within a second, you can absolutely do this exact slingshot. And Mickey Friesen thought about going past Ian Haycox there on the straightaway, but decided better of it. And Henry Morse actually was the one with the overspeed. He was going 210 miles an hour down the straightaway. These guys are cooking.
Well, I thought the idea that they got rid of the straight here, they got rid of the Unideras and put the chicanes in because the GTPs, the prototype cars, are going a bit too far. These cars are going way too fast at the moment, but still, Haycox leads. Van Hicks goes down. Ian Haycox leads. Do not adjust your set here. This is just the nature. This is real Daytona hours right now, and I love every moment about this. This is what we expected. Every time you come to a draft track in the GTOs, you circle it because you know you're going to get battles like this. And where else but the best battles here down the Mulsanne? They're not going to go 2x2 into Indy. I'll tell you what, Friesen's going to try to do this from the outside of the king, and he kept that position. Ian can fight this, but there's a camber there. It's going to be oh so struggled. He keeps it side by side. Well done, Ian. He's going to do this into Arnard. I would have had a great vantage point when I was there last year, but he kept that position held. Great battling from the drivers.
And you may think to yourself, why are you battling now? Well, if you don't have an opportunity to create a gap behind, then there's really no reason not to, and most of these drivers are just here to have a good time. Christoph Lesniak, though, is here to pass Brendan Lim. He just made it past Brendan Lim in second position because Jacob Reed has broken Brendan and Lesniak by the tune of 3 seconds for the lead of that race. But look at this pack. That is Andreas Schuster absolutely sliding it in the second position, trying to hang on to that spot. Vaughn Van Hicks going to go around Henry Morse to gain that fourth position. It's still side by side for the lead as Ian Haycox tried to do the over-under there on Mickey Friesen. Can't get it done. Lesniak and Brendan Lim still side by side on the front straightaway, as is Nick McConnell, Jack Wells, and Philip Lake for third position in the GTPs as we continue to watch the snake of Audis. It's only 13, actually still 14 at this point. Josh Brain still hanging on by half a second.
Can we crowdfund a new microphone for Mickey so we can see his face and see his reaction, or just see his focus mode there? Because that was just a little bit scary. When was the last time you saw two drivers basically take Porsche side by side? Well, I think it was the Lotus 49s earlier this year. But it just goes to show how tense it is in at the rest of the field. These three guys battling for the GTPs as well. Philip Lake, Jack Wells, McConnell. McConnell's almost hit the back of Phil Lake for a moment there. And you now start to see Jack just lifting off a little bit, just keeping it safe. As long as they stay in that slipstream, they're going to be okay. But they're going to have to work together to try and find 3 seconds to get to the back of Blim and Lesniak. Very big gaps now in the GTPs.
Absolutely, and working together is something that Nick McConnell and Phil Lake are fairly used to doing. Both of them dirty torque drivers, so they've been teammates. They were teammates for a very long time. And they used to be battling with with Glacier Lake Racing at the front of the GTO field. Those were legendary days, as Ryan Weiss looks like he's gone around in the 45 machine. He's going to take a tow as we see Jacob Reed starting to deal with lapped traffic. This is very, very far behind the rest of the GTO field. We're in the middle of the Mulsanne straight right now, whereas Jacob Reed just going through the final corners.
Adam, we've got 4 wide. We've almost got 4 wide here. Where is this? Guys, there's only 2 lanes here down the Mulsanne straight.
No, there's 4. What are you talking about?
There's not 4 here, Adam. I have been down this track. There is not 4, but they are trying to. They're 3 wide. They are running it out there. And the man that doesn't have the speed, it's Van Hicks. He had to yield. And now Friesen and Haycock go ding, ding, ding. Let's go for round 2. The bump from Schuster gets it there for Friesen, but they've still got another 200 meters to go. Hard braking here to get into the Mulsanne corner. Gets it stuck. And I'll tell you what, you look at that telemetry, I just see zeros. Every time if you want to know when the GTOs are on the Mulsanne, just look at the timing tower. It'll just be all zeros.
Absolutely. And, you say that there's only 2 lanes, but you can create 4 at certain points. If you know where the bumps are. We're seeing a 3-wide pass, actually. Andreas Schuster goes to the lead as he gets the slingshot around Haycox, and Morse is going to do the same thing as we're riding on board with Fountaise, looking up at these guys. It's craziness in the GTOs, but very calm and collected at this stage in the race. But when those GTPs get here, and it's going to happen in about 3 laps' time, Craig, that's when things change drastically in the draft pack. That's when you can create gaps.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's bring back that information about the gaps in the GTPs. Your closest gap right now is these two, Lesniak and Lim. Then there's only two other battles, going on with just 2 cars. So all the GTPs are very spread out at the moment. That's an advantage for the GTOs. That will split them up a little bit as Lesniak goes into P2. That will split them up.
Brendan Lim spins it!
Oh, is that a spin there? Yeah, that's just going to help those GTOs when it comes to multiclass.
And Brendan Lim had closed the gap back up to a Lesniak, but now Nick McConnell and Phil Lake are back up there with Lim. So this is the last step on the podium, the battle now between McConnell and Lim. And Lim's going to have those hot rear tires that do not cool down right now. Phil Lake is going to be in the draft, and look at the speed he's getting. He's 196 to their 191, and that's seems a little glacial when you're in your car, but 5 miles an hour on a straightaway like this can make all the difference. But Phil, deep into Indianapolis. Oh, almost contact between the two of them. If he would have clipped Brendan Lim there, that would have sent them both around, but he outbrakes Lim to the corner, and here's Jack Wells clinging onto the back of that battle as well. About a second up to McConnell. Phil should still be in the draft. He'll get the draft and be able to cling to McConnell as long as McConnell doesn't take the Porsche curbs quicker, or Brendan Lim doesn't decide to take the inside. Let's see what happens here. Brendan Lim's going to look to the inside of Porsche, and yes, Phil is going to send it deep into the first turn to make sure that Brendan Lim does not get alongside.
And that all started because Phil managed to get a really good run. He kept all the speed up and took the challenge around the outside of the Indianapolis corner. Remember, there is a little bit of a little bit of curving there, a little bit of a camber there, and it does affect you. Now, thinking about drivers that get affected, how about some too wide here? Emilio, where are you going? Emilio, you're on your own. Emilio, get to the back of the line. That's not a good move there. They tried to fight for the same spot, could not get it. He's found a little spot there, still a bit hesitant. He's there, that's fine. But look at this. These 5 are all split now, and the top 5 are on their own. But look at it, Adam. Valenteus, he has lost the toe, and he needs to somehow find 3 seconds to get back to the leaders, who are doing their best Noah Ark impression.
Absolutely. So these leaders are pulling away from this pack behind just due to the sheer numbers that they have. You see it at Daytona, you're seeing it here at Le Mans. So that's Riley Thompson, who slipped his way by Valenteus because he's got the overspeed. So it's going to be slingshots that get them back up there. They've made up half a second with this Noah's Ark in the lead.
Yeah, they made half a second. Interesting battle, though. Andreas Schuster's leading. Mickey Friesen's 4th. That would give Schuster P3 in the championship, if my math is correct. And I might be an accountant by trade. I've never done accounting for about 13 years, so I wouldn't know numbers. But that looks to me like Schuster may have it. But the key thing here, what we got on the camera right now is Ian Haycock, because you and I both know, Adam, he struggles nowadays. It's hard to do the end of a 40-minute race for Ian nowadays. That's not a knock on him, but after his disability, there's not a lot that can happen. He keeps on fighting. This is going to be interesting. Can he keep up with them at the later stages of this race?
Absolutely, got into a motorcycle accident and lost the use of his of one of his legs, so he's running with some adaptability controls on his steering wheel. We always are thinking of Ian and wishing him the best after that horrific accident that happened just about a year ago. Oh my goodness, an all close moment as Doug Cloud decided to kiss the rear bumper of Valenteus through a turn again. But Valenteus, with his raw pace, has taken that gap from 3 seconds down to half a second to the leaders.
Yeah, just a casual Valenteus and Cloud plus 12 for the day, as Cloud just basically goes, I'll tell you what, I'll ride you, Valenteus. I'll put a tow hitch on the back of your car, and I'll just keep on, you be my sleigh, I'll be Santa. And that's what they're doing at the moment. It's a really good job there from Valenteus. He's up to 6th position at Henry Moore's. He really feels like the man, I think the odd one out here. Henry's not a driver that is a regular here. He started doing more regular races this season. And
Brendan Lim!
Brendan Lim's had a moment out there, and that's a moment at Arnage, the slowest corner. Oh, I know what he's done. He cut too much of that outside curb.
Absolutely, and second mistake on the day. He had the first one at the Le Mans turn, and now at Arnage, he's made a similar mistake. Henrik Schreibig, trying to make it around Phil Lake, is able to do so this time around. Hennig recovering from his slower moments early in the race, but the GTPs are broken up at this stage. As we mentioned earlier, there's a second between all of them, at least a second between all of them, whereas the GTOs, the top 13, are still nose to tail. Here's what happened to Brendan Lynn.
Yep, there's the curb just here on the left. And people's trying to say,
Phil
Lake as well had a moment. He caught on some of the gravel as well, and he just put too much there. There's a little bit of a bump there, and I just remember saying that the curbs hit that curb, locked up the tires there. Very tough. By the way, did I mention I was there for the start of the 2024 Le Mans 24 hours last year?
Yes, you did. Here's Henrik Schreibig making yet another move on Jack Wells up to 4th position now. So Schreibig able to recover those hot tires and get himself back up the field. The GTOs are back onto the Mulsanne straight, a little bit more spread out than they have been. Henry Morse is now taking the lead from Andreas Schuster, and Joran Van Hicks with a head of steam. Is he going to try and find a way around? Nope, he decides to take it up to the bumper of Morse and continue to shove him. But the bump draft, you have to be very careful in these GTOs. They're not made for it in the same way that a NASCAR vehicle is. So these cars cannot do a strong bump draft and still maintain their aerodynamic presence. You can see Friesen giving a shot to Schuster. It's going to be side by side as they head towards the kink.
And this is probably the last time they do this straight before the carnage begins. And this is going to be important for some driver. For one driver, they probably know what's going to happen. They need to look for their opportunity now to try and get ahead, because right behind them, just catching up to P15, is Jacob Reed in the GTP. So you think some of these GTPs, like Swebeg and Wells, they're going side by side. They're going to be battling these GTOs very shortly. And who gets the run here onto the inside? Schuster holds it. They're going to go side by side. I'm keeping my eyes on where is Jacob Reed. Well, Jacob Reed is just up Mulsanne corner. So this is the final time. Everybody, it's DEFCON 1.
Absolutely, and you also have another reason that it's DEFCON 1. Andreas Valenteus is in 5th position. You cannot let him get to the lead of this train. If he's at the lead of this train by the time the GTPs start going by, he's got the race pace to beat everyone on raw pace alone if the draft gets broken. They have to keep Valenteus behind as the GTPs come through. Otherwise, there's no chance of them hanging on for a win. Everyone's got a chance at a win here in the top 15 of the GTOs, so long as Andreas Valenteus is not in the lead.
When have you seen multiple cars go side by side through Indy and Arnage like that? On board with Jacob Reed right now, and look at the cars he's got to go past. This is important because he's gonna hit the big pack as he brakes. There's the big pack. There's Jacob Reed. Everybody's getting a little bit nervous because he can take so much speed for these corners. What can he do? He's got to slice and dice through here as best he can to figure out the point. What car? Can he get through a second? No, onto the brake. Just a hesitation. Get through. Around now to the karting guesses. 1, 2, 3, 4. If he gets to Mickey, he does. Now to the next 4, 5. I don't think he's going to get them all though before Ford. Very good. Doug Cloud would have slowed down as well. Very good heads-up driving from Jacob Reed. Hopefully that may, for his sake, give him a lot of time. He's going to lose it held up here in the Ford chicane. But wow, that was pretty much, apart from one minuscule moment, as easy as you would like.
Absolutely, and he's only lost 2 seconds in that. Christoph Lesniak in 2nd position is just now catching up to the back of this pack, and he's going to have to pass them on one of the most technical sections of this race. That's going to cause some consternation for the GTOs. Christoph Lesniak goes around the outside. He's into the gravel, into the dirt, but he's able to hang on to it as we're looking at Joran Van Hicks in that 3rd position. Oh, we've got a spinner! Doug Cloud hits Ian Haycox. Wally Thompson's able to sneak his way by. But I don't know how Doug got so out of sorts, but he was a complete 90 degrees to the track and slides across and hits Ian Haycock. So Doug with some front end damage. Surprisingly enough, he's still in that lead pack. So if he has enough straight line speed, he won't be lost on the battle for the lead yet.
Contact with Haycock, that's what it was. Ian took a different line. I think Doug was just, I don't know if it was Doug losing a bit of control there, or Ian just not losing a bit of control and taking too much speed. But one of the drivers was too fast, one of the drivers was too slow, and they went side by side. I wonder if this is Ian just giving him the, oh, hello, Brendan. Just giving him the look by to see if he can get it. He will. I don't know if Ian's got the top speed now. It's looking very tough for him right now, but we've got to look at the front of the field because Henry is still leading. Van Hicks is there. Schuster's now into 3rd, but Valenteus Valenteus is probably going to use this GTP of Nicholas McCannell's to just tow his way back. And I tell you who will be following him, a one Mickey Friesen.
Absolutely, Valenteus hanging out right at the edge of the main draft. 1.2 seconds is when you lose it. So you have to be careful. He's right at 1.1, now starting to gain. But the drivers who've lost it, Riley Thompson, Martin Kraytrick, that pack for 6th on back, now 5 seconds behind the leaders. They've lost the draft, and unless they have raw pace over the next couple laps, they're going to be in trouble. But look at this. Our leaders have the GTPs of Jack Wells and Brendan Lim battling for 4th position tucked in with them. This can affect the battles for sure, and it gives extra draft to Valenteus for him to catch up.
Yeah, and that's what he's doing. That's what he is doing right now, and I know Friesen's probably going to do it as well. Philip Lake having a little bit of a moment there. I saw that at the Dunlop chicane. Just a small, unfortunate moment. It's such a tough corner to really get right because you want to be braking just as you start to hit that kink before that little right-hander, so it's really tough to get your lines all sorted here. Brendan Lim still battling hard, and thankfully he's past the traffic now. That's just what he wanted to do. Now it's just back to racing with Jack Well, not where these guys expected themselves to be. Diaz as well having a little bit of a moment there, almost doing what Aston Martin did last year at Le Mans, but apart from the flipping. But this is important. Diaz goes by. I tell you what I just noticed. Friesen got held up from Henning Schwebbing making an overtake. He's almost losing the toe to Valenteus. Yep. Friesen's almost going to be out on his own here. And with Schuster in the lead pack, that could be the podium in the championship done.
Absolutely. So these drivers have to be careful. I finally have some time to mention it. Not that much time, as we have some drivers cutting through. It's Sony Mied who's going to slice through between 2nd and 1st in our lead pack. Here's Doug Cloud with that nose damage now with Martin Kraytrick and Riley Thompson. They're still 4 seconds behind, but they're gaining a little bit on Mickey Friesen, who, as we said, dropped off a little bit. Jacob Reed sets the fastest lap of the day, even going through the traffic. This is the lap after he went through the traffic. But I will say, traffic giveth traffic taketh away. Jacob Reed lost 2 seconds down to 4 seconds through the traffic. Christoph Lesniak went through the traffic, and he lost another 4 seconds on top of that. So he's out to 8.5 seconds now behind Jacob Reed, and most of that time was lost through the traffic, even with Jacob Reed setting the fastest lap.
Well, we know that's going to be the only time they go through the traffic because the GTPs are on lap 9, the GTOs are on lap 8, so that'll be the one time they go through the traffic, and that could be everything now. So it's all now down to just the racing for some of these drivers, and Henry Morse is at a position I don't think he expected to be in because, let's be brutally honest, this is not really a track that if you know what you do, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what to do. We saw what happened with Swebek. He had that mistake. He wanted to try and go to the front. He cost the driver a lot of time. And I'm not saying he's the reason everything will split up because there were other things happening. But you can see if you don't work together, that happened to the GTP, where the GTOs, they've all kept it together here. And it just goes to show Valenteus somehow works his way up. And he actually does have help from Mickey Friesen this time. They might be able to catch up to the pack.
Martin Kraytrick had a slowdown, and he's now lost the pack. Riley Thompson is 4.7 seconds behind this lead pack, and he's broken off to a solo driver. Jamie Hamel-Smith is his nearest friend, 1.9 seconds back, so that's kind of the end of the race for Riley as far as catching up to the lead pack, unless they have it coming together. We're taking a look at it now. Joram Van Hicks, Schuster, and Morse. They've got about a second on Valenteus, who now has a drafting partner of Friesen, who's shoving him up to the lead pack. Valenteus and Friesen should be with the main pack by the time they get to braking for Le Mans. So these drivers, Valenteus could go to the front here if he's committed enough. This will be interesting. Riding on board with Friesen, look at the overspeed he's got. He's going to look to the inside, but there's a slow Steve Hawkins. He has to brake. That was a terrifying moment for Valenteus.
Not over yet, he's still got the overspeed. They're going to be braking free wide into the Mulsanne corner, and everyone thinks, hang on, what the on earth is happening right here? Valenteus takes 3 in a straight. He's there into the lead. Everybody now is concerned. Now Valenteus, the number 1 car, is back up there. And at this late stage of the race, that's a big deal that he's there already. Schuster's going to try and make a fight, though. They're going to still go 2x2 here. This could be big. And a big crash in the background. Is that Doug Cloud?
No, that is Doug Cloud, who had an incident with Martin Kraytrick, I believe. Look at all the gravel. Doug Cloud trying to recover, but back to 14th position. That used to be part of this lead pack that we were watching now. That's not the case anymore. Doug Cloud at this stage about 20 seconds behind this lead pack and well out of the draft with major damage. And now Fabi Jungbluth, who started in the pits up to 9th position, this man, on an absolute flyer, and he's going to try and make his way past.
Let's look at the replay. It looks like Doug Cloud may have just missed his braking point there. He didn't expect Haycock to go back to the line. He tried to avoid. They had a little come together then. There's the 23 coming on by, and of course the 23 is a Jamie Hamill-Smith. Such unfortunate there. They have to just wait for it. Doug had to get on by. Look at all the cars that go by. This is important for the GTU Championship, though, Adam, because Tachari is back in the lead of the GTU, and Jamie is so far down he has to try. Remember, the way the GTU's done is they're finishing positions. So he has to get ahead of Tachari, and then some positions go ahead of Tachari, and now he's this far back. I can't see it happening.
Yeah, it's 15 points to the driver who's first on the road, and so that is how it comes into play. So that is how you get points. So that's why Tachari is in a good position right now, because, like you said, Jamie Hamill-Smith is a good 10 seconds back of Tachari, and Tachari's in that pack for 7th position behind Josh Brain. We're taking a look off the back of Valenteus. This is the we just went through his fastest portion of the track, and he was not able to shake Schuster. Now here comes some GTP traffic. They're all battling. This is Phil Lake, Felipe Diaz, and De Vried, who are battling for 10th position. They're not going to want to give up a lot of time, and this could break up our GTO battles, as it already has. 1.1 seconds from Schuster back to Morse.
Yeah, they've got to be prepared here. They've got to make sure that they just, keep it calm right now. No need to be a little bit too worried here. Just make sure that everyone gets on by. These guys will be waiting for the opportunity to keep on going. And just look at it. They do get by. Philip Lake gets by. Diaz gets by. They manage to avoid most of these drivers, most of this carnage. They're going to go 3 wide right now, 2 wide right now, shortly 3 wide. And Schuster just gives a little bit of a tap to Valenteus, saying, use that toe, mate. Come on, let's keep going.
Absolutely, but they haven't broken the draft. It's the largest gap between the top 5 is 0.8 seconds, and that's Morse to Schuster. So this should easily close up by the time they break for Le Mans again on this massive straight. You look down the straightaway, and there's Valenteus leading the pack. Such a long straight. I can't even fathom what it would have been like to drive vehicles of this era down a track like this. Absolutely terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. You can see why they also banned the single make body chassis as well on the prototypes just for this moment. You can also remember when Peugeot decided Project 400 to go 400 kilometers an hour down this straight just by taping up everything. So just goes to show. Here comes Henry Morse. He's going to try and look for a move. Can't make it. What's interesting though about what Valenteus just did last lap is he locked up. Of course, the man. He set the fastest lap all week. 3/10 faster than the fastest lap he did, but if he locks up like that, just not expecting the overspeed, he's going to lose that lead. Henry Morse trying to play underdog here, and they're only going to have one more lap after this. There goes Jacob Reed. He takes the white flag.
And to tell you how fast that fastest lap was for Valenteus, that was a 42.1. That is the second fastest lap in the pack right now is Mickey Friesen's 42.6. That's a half a second faster, and it didn't break him free of the draft. As we get some cloud cover coming back through, Jacob Reed is 10 seconds clear of Christoph Lesniak, and he's got a couple of cars for traffic over the course of this lap, specifically the battle for 19th for 20th between Paul Clavier and Henry Vieronaki. So they've got some of that to deal with, and this battle for the lead still tight. Morse looking for a way by Valenteus, and Schuster's backing the horse of Valenteus.
Yeah, wise to back the horse of the number 1 car. And he might be able to use it to go through. Almost goes into the back. He's going to overextend it. Loses it. Great save from Henry Morse there. Ryan Hicks had nothing else to do but just had to look at it. And looked at it, he did. And thankfully, no one has caught up in the carnage there. And let's just take a breather as they come through Porsche. And let me also read that Brendan Lim's last time with a 3:12.2 was 7 tenths faster than any fastest lap this week done by Brendan Lim. Jacob Reed is just on another level right now.
Absolutely. Jacob Reed's last lap was a 3:12. Yeah, like you said, a 3:12.2. That is a completely insane lap from Jacob Reed as we were watching this battle for 8th position, 7th rather, from Emilio Detari, Thorben Pollock, Ian Haycox, and Josh Brain after their incidents as our GTO leaders just took the white flag with Valenteus in the lead behind, with Schuster behind, Morse, Van Hicks, and Friesen.
Yeah, Ian Haycox now is just trying to hold on to it. There's a slow GTP up ahead who's had to take a slowdown, but that Newland isn't going to affect them too much. And now it just goes. Look at this. This reminds you of that scene in Ford versus Ferrari, where you've got Christopher. I forget the lead actor, but they're there on their own there. Philip Lake may have had a crash out there. He's all right. No, he isn't out. He's not all right. Lesniak's still battling as well. He can't catch up. The gap is 11 seconds. That's absolutely mental when you realize that Reed and Lesniak, they were together for the first 2 laps of the race.
Valenteus has a slowdown, I think. He's now dropping to the back of that lead pack. He should be fine. He'll get back up there. But now the leaders in the GTOs side by side again. As we see Joran Van Hicks giving a shot to Andreas Schuster. Morse in the lead at the moment. Lance Simon just snuck by them. There is Morse. He has some nose damage from that moment that we saw through the Porsche curves. And look at this. Mickey Friesen's going to take that 3rd lane I talked about, Craig, onto the shoulder. And they're riding the bumps with Valenteus out there. It's 3 wide for the GTO lead.
Last time down the Unideris of these cars, they're 3 wide, and they've lost that push, and that allows Schuster to keep on going, and Mickey Friesen's wondering, what have I got to do? He'll go back. They haven't even got to the 2nd chicane yet, and there they are. Here's the 2nd chicane. He's got the speed right back here. This could be crucial. Who decides to go on a little bit of a run here? Friesen will probably have to do is around the outside, so he backed Henry Morse. Valenteus, he backed Henry Morse as well. This is very interesting. They're going to back the underdog here. Can Henry get this around the outside of Mulsanne? Jacob Reed takes the victory. Sorry to spoil it there. He takes the victory. That's how dominant he's been.
Absolutely. He's been so dominant that we weren't even thinking about it. I took a glance up and he was crossing the finish line. What a win from Reed. Lesniak and Makanos round out your podium, but Andreas Schuster has a ginormous gap in relative terms at the front of the pack of this group of 5. It's about a 1/4 second. That's the biggest he's had. But look at this. Here comes Friesen with a run. Van Hicks as well. Henry Morse goes to the inside. He takes the lead. Late on the brakes into Indianapolis for Van Hicks. He makes the outside sweep work. Morse is going to try and do it on the left-hander. He tries to hang up, and look at that crossover from Van Hicks. Slams the door on Morse, who can't get to the inside. Here's Friesen looking to the inside of Schuster. He has to back out of it. Van Hicks has a nice shot off the corner. He looks good to go as they head towards the Porsche curves.
This should be big. Van Hicks has probably got this done. That moment there, Friesen almost went into the side of Schuster. He backed out of it. Very smart position here. Schuster needs these positions. He needs it for the championship. He's going to try and take on Henry Morse, and into Porsche he goes. He'll take that P2, and now he's got to try and catch up to Van Hicks. There'll only be one big opportunity to make the move, and he's washing out a little bit. Was that a tap of the wall there from Van Hicks? We don't know. We'll never know. As it keeps on going, there is nothing Schuster can do right now. Dirty Air really hitting him. One of the toughest tracks. But Dirty Air, one of the toughest.
Morse with the run.
Dirty Air, and Morse has got the run. Morse may make this run in here. This will be a big time P2. This can be big. Van Hicks is still there, bumping and side drafting goes Morse and Schuster, and they slide. And Morse has to lock it down. Schuster loses it as well. Van Hicks is going to take the win. He seals the championship. Drag race to the line. It's not. Mickey Friesen gets the P2. Valenteus gets the P3, and that means Friesen holds on to P3 in the championship.
What a battle through the final corners. An amazing fight between Schuster and Morse as they slid through there. Schuster trying to squeeze Morse down and just couldn't get it done without contact, sending the two of them sliding, with Van Hicks finishing in the lead with Friesen second and Valenteus coming home in third. Doug Cloud is going to come through after that early damage to come home in 13th position. What a finish, Craig.
Well, that's just what you want to see. You want to see that grandstand finish as we get more of the drivers finish off. I'm just taking a little look at some of the rest of the stats here. And I'm just looking as well. GTP lights. I'm pretty sure that will go to Shady and Mad. None of those drivers turned up today. But interesting as well for the GTUs. Emilio Detari did indeed outdo Jamie Hamel-Smith.
And so now we take the deep breath and take a look at our results for this race. Jacob Reed takes home the win over Krzysztof Olesniak. Nick McConos comes home in a distant third. Jack Wells comes home in fourth position with Brendan Lim in fifth. Henning Schweibig is going to come home in sixth position with Sony Mied in seventh position. Kyle Graham comes home in eighth, and Fabian Jungbluth ninth, with Victor De Vriend rounding out your top 10. Then it is going to be Martin Yalis, who comes home in 11th, Andre Felipe Diaz in 12th, and Lance Simon 13th position. Colby Newland 14th with Vitaz Dizado coming home in 15th spot. The top 20 rounded out by Nelson Granzau, Matthew Gulas, Philip Lake, and Simon Pancri, last driver on the lead lap, with Brian Stockmar in that 20th position, 2 laps down. And then the drivers who had big problems, Carlos Lopez, Ryan Weiss, and Eric Lahore, who did not start.
Well, got my voice back as well as Jan Van Hicks will take the championship. Will take the win. Sorry, not just the championship. Mickey Friesen started second, finished second. Not really the name of the story there today, but Valenteus makes it 15 position. The somewhat lost the first did not work for him. He finishes in third. Andre Schuster will be fourth after starting in pole. Then Riley Thompson, good recovery there to finish fifth. Henry Morse will be sixth after that little moment at the end there. Kraytrick will be seventh. Milo Dechari will finish in the top 10 and 8th. Josh Brain up 11 places to 9th. Ian Haycox finishes 10th. To the second page we go with Fulton Pollock, a very quiet 11th today. Roman Bello will be in 12th, and Doug Cloud will be up 6th to 13th today. Marcus Bayon will be 14th. Yao Carasio will take that 15th place with Peter DeFeo 16th. Davis now will take that 17th, and Gorka Corintio will be 18th. Jamie Hamill-Smith a lap down. He retired early in 19th. Paul Clavier will be 20th. And to the drivers that had to take some repairs, Henry Viramaki as well in 21st. Jon Pam will be in 22nd, and Steve Hawkins will be 23rd, with Shane Hawkins, no relation I don't think, in 24th, 2 laps down. Hubert Peter Carizio will be 25th. Eric Richter, the only retiree, he finishes 5 laps down from the leader in 26th.
What a race we had here at Le Mans Historic, and we have Krzysztof Olesniak who's here to talk to us. Krzysztof, that was a pretty wild race out there on the GTPs, as far as the GTPs were concerned, but in the as far as the GTOs were concerned, rather, but in the GTPs, it seemed like a relatively calm affair once the lead pack got broken up. What are your thoughts about the race today? Krzysztof, you got a copy? All right, well, we'll see whether or not Krzysztof comes and joins us, but Craig, this was a crazy race from top to bottom with the GTOs. We had no idea who's going to win going into the final lap, and we've come to expect that around here, but at the same time, it's not one of those races where we see that close of a battle at the end of the lap, at the end of the race that often.
No, I mean, we go into that whole, the whole slipstream. We talk about the GTO training. We see it all the time in those endurance races because the drivers don't want to look for the opportunities until they come to the straights. So they have 15 of 26 cars for basically, well, when did the traffic come in? 8 laps? But it was very crazy just to see everybody just catch up there. And one driver that did have to go through all that lap traffic was Krzysztof Olesniak. And I believe, Adam, you may have him back again.
Absolutely. Krzysztof, you got a copy? No problem.
Yeah, this race was a bit difficult tactically because of how strong the draft is behind the Nissan. You can go back about 1.7 seconds and you're going to catch up by the end of the straight. You have a whole minute going full throttle, so yeah, getting away is extremely difficult, and at the beginning it's basically a NASCAR super speedway race. But once people make mistakes, pucks breaking up, it calms down significantly, and I'm glad it did because I don't know what would have happened otherwise.
Absolutely, and you only have to navigate the traffic one time over the course of Le Mans Historic with the 11-lap format. Today, we had a pack of 15 cars that were nose to tail when you went through, and you were coming through there, coming across the start-finish straight. How was it navigating the pack with them that compressed?
It's It depending on where you catch them. If you catch them between maybe start of the lap and Indianapolis, it's mostly okay, unless they try to go 2-3 wide, and yeah, there's not much space. But anywhere between Indianapolis and Fort Chicanes, you really need to be very picky on your passes, because the smallest mistakes from the Audi and you both end of the race. No question about it. You have to be really patient in those sections around them.
Absolutely. You came home in second today, and in the championship, I believe you're going to retain that 5th position. It was a good season for you overall. A lot of top 5 finishes over the course of the season. Are you looking to maintain that consistency next season?
Hopefully, it'll be better than that. I'm glad I started and finished the season on a podium. Maybe with a little bit of a roller coaster in the middle, but I will take it anyway. I have not foreseen that, especially at the beginning of the season, that I will be able to fight so consistently around top 5s, at least on pace. Various stuff happening in the middle of the races. It is what it is. But anyway, I'm happy with what I got so far.
Absolutely. And coming home in that second position today, is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go, Christoph?
I want to thank you guys for providing a very nice broadcast consistently every Saturday. I want to thank others for providing beastie setups. Especially this week is a weapon that tries to kill you every time it's on, but very fast, and surprisingly easy to drive, all things considered.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Christoph, and once again, congrats on second position. We'll see you next season.
Thank you. See you next season. Bye.
Absolutely. That was Christoph Lesniak, and it looks like Emilio Titari is here to talk to us with Craig.
Yeah, there's always one thing we like talking about, and it is the junior categories. It is the GTU drivers, the GTP lights. And it's here to say that the GTU champion this season is Emilio Titari, who had a fantastic race, an up and down race today, Emilio. But finally, you can say that championship is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Craig. Guys, thank you for the broadcast. Crazy race for me today. It was tough because my car not was the best in the straight, and yeah, it was so tough to make to the guys know that I don't want to be pushed. I want to push because I can't be more quicker than that in the straight. So it was a tough race for me at the end, because when I saw Jamie have some problems, I say, okay, this is mine. I can win it, but it was difficult the last laps, because I have I don't want to be pushed, and but at the end I'm really happy for this. I was waiting a lot of time for have a championship in my name, so I'm really happy for this, and a good race.
Yeah, it was a good race indeed. Like I said, it was up and down, because pack racing in the GTOs is different at Le Mans, and you didn't want to be the pusher, but what is your thought process when you see everybody, they're fanning out, they're 3 wide, they're almost 4 wide? What is your thought process in that moment?
In the first couple laps, when we were in the big pack, in the leading pack, I was only wanting to not have a lot of difference before the straight to the car in front, because I know that I don't have any chance. When we are there, when I saw the 3 wide, I say, what are you gonna do here? I go for here or for the left or right. It was difficult, And in the last laps, I think that it was Martina or Ian Highcox who makes as well a 3 wide in the last lap, and I was being pushed for Torben. I was thinking of please don't lose the car here because it will be all over. And yeah, it was really difficult, but yeah, like NASCAR, you know, in that straight was fun, obviously, but in the last lap was really, I was really scared.
So it's a GTU championship for you this season. It's a good top 10 finish in the GTOs, the main series as well. What are your aspirations for next season? Obviously, you'll probably want to defend that championship, but are you looking to go up that ladder in the top 10?
Yeah, obviously, my main goal this season was to win the championship. I get it. Now, obviously, if I can, I will try to retain the crown. Obviously, because I don't put too much attention to the iRating. You know, if I go down or if I go up, you know, I don't care too much about that. So if I stay in the GTU, obviously wanted to defend that championship. And obviously try to keep progressing. You know, today I make also one of the greatest qualify for this race, starting in P5, I guess, and it was really good for me, the progression that I have in the qualis. So yeah, hopefully to have a bit more of luck and more patience as well for the races, and try to get a top 5, maybe a podium, and obviously I can dream for try to win a race. That was a big goal for the next season, but obviously I never lose the dream, you know, for try to get that first win in the broadcast race.
First win probably coming to you soon. We just wait to see it, and I know everyone can't wait to see that. Before we let you go, Emilio, it's only fair. It's one of your first times, or one of the rare times we get to see you. Any shout-outs you would like to have?
Obviously, first of all, to Joaquin Rossi Silva, Fernando Diaz Graf, and Mateo Padilla, who are supporting me at Discord. Joaquin was all the time telling me, and Fernando as well, okay, be patient here, you know, you can be faster here. So he was my engineer today, as well, Fernando and Mateo. So big shout out to them. And to my girlfriend, who support me a lot this season when the things come really hard for me and it was really difficult to affront a bad result. I say, oh, it is over, and she came and say, no, it will be fine, you know, to her. My family, my parents, and all the people who support me in my streams. So, and obviously to you guys for make this broadcast, and it's really enjoyable to see after the races. So I'm really excited to see it for having lunch or dinner tonight.
Well, Emilio, congratulations on the championship and another great season. It's great seeing you. We can't wait to see you next season. All the best, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Gray, and to all of you guys. Thank you.
There we go, Adam. I know that's a championship you battled for once before in the GTUs, and it just goes to show some of the best started in the GTUs and worked their way up to the GTOs.
Absolutely, and a GTU championship means so much. It meant so much to me in my last season of racing before I switched over full-time to broadcasting here. Speaking of that, we want to close out here today by thanking the IMSA Vintage series for bringing us on for this season, and we want to give a big shout out to the team that covered this season: Craig, Howie, Jake, Steven, Christian, Daniel, and Dougie. Also, make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next season is actually going to start with the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. That's June 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern. But next up here on GSRC, that's the Skip Barber Race Series at Bathurst. You're not going to want to miss that one. That's tomorrow at 5 a.m. Eastern. And don't miss the other upcoming races here that you see on your screen. We hope you've enjoyed joining us this season as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back again soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.